Hello and welcome. I'm Al Barrows, and this is UFO Disclosure, the podcast that's meant to show an average person's reaction to all the UFO, UAP news from everywhere and anywhere. So, U.S. senators are pushing again for groundbreaking laws to unveil non-human intelligences. There is a new congressional bill and a renewed effort to incorporate a UAP Disclosure Act with a nine-person review board with powers of subpoena and eminent domain in the 2025 National Defense Authorization Act. This is a, quote, controlled disclosure, end quote, that attempts to steer a middle path between catastrophic disclosure and limited disclosure. Will it have more success this year as UFO disclosure continues, or will it be gutted at the 11th hour like in 2023? Stay tuned for the details. This is an article from Liberation Times entitled U.S. Senators Push Again for Groundbreaking Law to Unveil Non-Human Intelligence. And it's an article by Christopher Sharp, and I'm going to be reading certain parts of his article. Both Senators Schumer from the Democratic Party and Rounds from the Republican Party resurrected the bipartisan, unidentified, anomalous phenomenon Disclosure Act, or UAPDA, following its gutting from last year's National Defense Authorization Act, or NDAA, conference process. If the act is passed, the president would appoint 9 impartial citizens with Senate consent to a newly established UAP Records Review Board. This board would oversee the collection, review, and public disclosure of UAP records and has the authority to examine materials, solicit testimonies, and gather additional witnesses and whistleblowers. The establishment of the review board would prevent government agencies and individuals accused of involvement with illegal UAP programs from investigating and exonerating themselves. This board would eliminate their direct influence over the government's current UAP office, the All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, or ARROW, a practice multiple sources have reported to Liberation Times. The president would also make final decisions regarding the disclosure or postponement of records related to UAP, provide written justifications for any postponements, and ensure the periodic review and declassification of postponed records. The reintroduction of the act intended to be included within the NDAA, or National Defense Authorization Act, for fiscal year 2025 could be considered a major rebuke to ARROW, which concluded in February this year that it had found no empirical evidence for claims that the USG and private companies have been reverse engineering extraterrestrial technology. Now, the language in this bill seems to be largely replicated from last year's proposed act. In addition to reinstating the review board from last year's UAPDA, the contentious eminent domain clause has also been reinstated. Multiple sources have told Liberation Times that this clause has caused significant controversy among defense contractors, which are believed to possess technologies of unknown or non-human origin. It is believed that the clause was a large factor leading to the UAPDA's gutting last year. And if you guys don't know what eminent domain is, it gives the government or Congress the right to take possession of any alien technologies, any alien bodies that these black ops programs might possess. Want to take a look at what someone in social media said about this as well, very quickly. This post is by J. Christopher King at JCKing78. And he says, I realize filing the new UAPDA is the beginning of a long back and forth deliberation. But frankly, I'm surprised to see that eminent domain is in there even now, considering that was pointed at over and over as the poison pill that killed the whole thing last time around. And he has a definition here that the government put out of what eminent domain is. Exercise of eminent domain, therefore, is that the federal government shall exercise eminent domain over any and all recovered technologies of unknown origin and biological evidence of non-human intelligence that may be controlled by private persons or entities in the interests of the public. And I can see how that would be a problem. They have already possession of these materials. It's a proprietary issue, then, I would say. Moving on with the article now. Multiple sources have told Liberation Times that this clause has caused significant controversy among defense contractors, which are believed to possess technologies of unknown or non-human origin. It is believed that the clause was a large factor leading to the UAPDA's gutting last year. Yeah, I can see why that would be the poison pill. Why would they want to give up any craft or any biological remains of ETs to the government? Under the plan, any materials or biological evidence of unknown or non-human origin would be subject to the power of eminent domain exercised by the U.S. federal government. This means that companies like Lockheed Martin or any other defense contractor potentially in possession of such materials would be required to surrender them to the government. I think that eminent domain is something that the U.S. Senators Rounds and Schumer may need to compromise on this clause if the UAPDA is to be included in the final Senate version. And it is, getting back to the article, it says here that it is understood by Liberation Times that figures close to President Biden and his Republican opponent, former President Trump, were involved with the drafting and resurrection of the latest UAPDA. And this new UAPDA was introduced just days after Senator Richard Blumenthal unveiled the Congressional Whistleblower Protection Act, which aims to protect individuals who report information to Congress from retaliation. This is crucial because in the face of increasing hostility, the whistleblowers have felt increasingly vulnerable. And there are key provisions in that Whistleblower Protection Act, like extending protections to employees, former employees, and applicants for employment with federal agencies. It also allows aggrieved individuals to seek corrective actions through established administrative channels. And if a final decision on a whistleblower's complaint is not issued within 180 days, the individual can take their case to a federal district court. And ex-Watergate and Pentagon Papers lawyer Daniel Sheehan, chief counsel of the New Paradigm Institute, stated that the new proposed protections can support UAP whistleblowers, but said the provisions could go further. Daniel Sheehan says that the New Paradigm Institute has introduced to Congress a much stronger UAP whistleblower specific Enhanced Protection Act exclusively designed to provide additional protections to UFO-related federal whistleblowers who attempt to provide UFO or extraterrestrial information to Congress. For example, the New Paradigm Institute proposed bill does not require a UFO-related federal whistleblower even with a national security clearance to first seek administrative relief before filing such a federal civil lawsuit. Also, the new Paradigm Institute proposed bill doesn't require a UFO-related whistleblower to wait 180 days to file a federal civil lawsuit seeking a federal court injunction against any government employee or official who is planning to or who has attempted to retaliate against any UFO-related federal whistleblower. So the current whistleblower process is fundamentally flawed, with the implementation of existing protections heavily dependent on the competence and willingness of not only the intelligence community's inspector general, but also on agencies such as the CIA and the National Reconnaissance Office. These shortcomings highlight the critical need for robust oversight and consistent enforcement across all relevant bodies to ensure that whistleblowers are adequately protected and that ultimately UFO disclosure does happen. So if you or anybody you know is a UAP related whistleblower, you can contact Dr. Stephen Greer. He's announced a federal UAP whistleblower protection, and Dr. Greer has announced that he has federal UAP whistleblower protection available now as of June the 20th, 2024. He has been in touch with law enforcement for many months now, working out ways that significant whistleblowers on the UFO UAP new energy issue can be protected. That process began June the 20th, 2024, and is now operational. Special Access Project SAP is in place, which can provide security for whistleblowers. Once set up for the particular whistleblower, it will be able to monitor communications with the whistleblower, and if threatened, will be set up in such a way as to identify, capture, and prosecute those making the threats. So if you are, or you know, a UAP-related whistleblower, and that includes military, intelligence, government, or private corporate whistleblowers, you can contact Dr. Greer at whistleblower@SiriusDisclosure.com. And that whistleblower protection has been in place since June the 20th of 2024. You can also contact Dan Sheehan at his New Paradigm Institute. This is the New Paradigm Institute webpage. And as you can see, the New Paradigm Institute has various active campaigns that are ongoing efforts to compel UAP disclosure, one of which is Protect UAP Whistleblowers Now. The other is Urge Congress to Pass UAP Disclosure. And here's another one, demanding Congress hold public hearings with UAP whistleblowers. So you can go to either one of these. It's fairly easy. All you do is fill out this information here, then click Next, and it sends a letter to your congressman or representative urging them to demand Congress to pass the UAP Disclosure Act. So it's all about demanding Congress to pass the UAP Disclosure Act again. And Dan Sheehan, the head of the New Paradigm Institute, is quite active in social media. I found this on social media where he's claiming that the CIA has a UFO detection center.
Well, no, but I do know this. I do know that the Central Intelligence Agency itself has a center that nobody knew about. And actually, most other people don't know about now. That was able to detect UFOs flying around, even when they're fully masked. You know, even when they're not visible at all, and when they don't show up on any radar. That there is a technology that has been developed. That the code name for it is called Golden Domes. and they're able to detect the UFOs, where they're going and coming. So that, and what I'm concerned about is that that may be part of the quote kinetic program, to find out where they are. Because if you can find out where they are, then you might be able to engage them in some way to try to bring them down.
And that was taken from r/above the norm news by D Mans 99. So that project that the CIA has of detecting UFOs, it's called the Golden Domes, but there are other centers for detecting UFOs that aren't government sanctioned or aren't through the CIA. I found out that there's somebody in South America that has his own homemade UFO detection center. Okay, so I found this on Reddit, and r/UFOs posted it, positive song 2293. And it's about a ufologist that will present scientific data on UAPs recorded by its monitoring network in the Amazon region. His name is Ronnie Burnett, and he has already presented a preview of his records. Local indigenous people have been frightened for years in the area of the Amazon. Okay, so I'm getting this from OVNI Logia, which is a Brazilian online magazine. Data on UAP phenomena in the Amazon will be released soon, says Ronnie Burnett. The expectation is that material with impressive records will be released soon. The ufologist Burnett, who has already made previews available, embarked on a solo trip to the far reaches of the Amazon region last month in search of answers to the anomalous phenomenon that has tormented local indigenous people for years. A few years ago, it was discovered that in an area of the Amazon region, local indigenous people were being tormented by the manifestation of luminous phenomena that generated fear and panic among them. In 2013, sightings began to be recorded flying over Aldea Apixta, inhabited by the Campa do Amonia indigenous people located in Acre. At least one of these objects came down on the village and emitted rays and light towards the indigenous people. Their incident resulted in an appeal for help from the Indians to the National Indian Foundation, which in turn called the federal police and the armed forces to resolve the situation. An investigation was initiated by the federal police in 2014 and the following year, 2015. A new investigation was reopened by the Federal Public Ministry after researcher and anthropologist Carolina Camanduli reported contact with one of these phenomena. According to data collected by researcher Ronnie Burnett, the episode stopped in 2015 in Aldea Apixta, but restarted in 2016, this time affecting the indigenous villages Campa and Isolados de Envira. Once again, luminous phenomena descended close to the indigenous people, being greeted with shotgun blasts. Burnett's research resulted in the release of more than 120 pages of official Brazilian government documents and more than 20 minutes of videos, including reports from impacted indigenous people and footage of the UFO in the village. All of this material was made available by the researcher on the UAP Brazil website. Restless about wanting to investigate and knowing that the phenomena were being reported again, the ufologist set out on a solo trip at the end of June this year with the aim of not only witnessing what was happening, but also recording it. And that's what he did. Armed with several cutting-edge technological devices, Ronnie set up a true UAP monitoring base in the region. In an interview with Porta Vigilia, Ronnie Burnett talked about what will happen from now on. He reported experiences and described the diverse, important, and complex equipment that his monitoring network has. He set up 5 cameras, including a robot with 25 times zoom, a 12 megapixel Alinsky camera, and 3 others in 4K resolution. In addition, 11 different sensors were installed: IR thermal imaging, magnetometer, radio, microwave, nuclear radiation, infrasound, accelerometer, gyroscope, temperature, atmospheric pressure, humidity, and GPS. All of these devices were connected to a Starlink satellite internet network, allowing data to be transmitted daily to the cloud, where it is processed by artificial intelligence to identify patterns. This is a frame from a video taken by one of Ronnie's monitoring cameras in the region. In it, you can see a luminous UAP like a kind of fireball. For almost a week at the site, the ufologist kept the enthusiastic public updated as much as possible through his social networks, sharing not only his impressions of the experience and the difficulties encountered, but also some previews of the activities and events witnessed. This is a look at what his makeshift UFO detection center looks like. Inside the UAP monitoring control room that Ronnie has built in the Brazilian Amazon. And this is a post by Ronnie Burnett himself showing inside the UAP monitoring control room that he built. So you can see that it's pretty makeshift, rustic, probably nothing like what the CIA has. But he's hooked up to Starlink satellites. It's just amazing that he can get all that done in the middle of the Amazon jungle. Ronnie Burnett did release some of the information as well as an impressive video of UAP records. He says it was possible to witness 4 different types of phenomena while he was there. One is a poltergeist activity, sounds, and strange radio communications. The second type are flashing orange spheres. Type 3 are fixed orange spheres and continuous lights. Fourth type is the luminous fog, like a white aurora that becomes dense and forms a huge 3D image. The fifth type was not witnessed in person, but was recorded on various equipment. Type 2 and 3 and 4 have also been recorded. Type 5 is a luminous entity with a buzzing sound that illuminates the area and projects another oval-shaped UAP near the ground. It silenced the sounds of nature before disappearing. Wow. Okay, so here's another post from Ronnie Burnett, and he says, during my mission in the Amazon, I witnessed 4 types of phenomena. Let's take a look at the video. Okay, that's the fireball type, I guess. Oh, it changed direction so quickly. There it is again. Okay, see how it changes directions so quickly? Gaining well-deserved recognition for his meticulous and painful work, the ufologist has already given an interview to respected investigative journalist Ross Coulthart at News Nation, covering his research in the Amazon region. Let's see what he has to say to Ross Coulthart.
I want to set some background to what we're talking about here, because this part of South America is a real UAP hotspot. I'm hearing that from people in Washington, and I'm hearing that from Ronnie and his friends. And Ronnie's research was prompted by a long history of unexplained UAP incidents reported since at least the mid-1970s. In 1977, the reported UAP incidents in Para and Maranhão states. I think that's in Brazil. There were multiple reports from several of the province's coastal cities. Hundreds of people reported being hit by light beams emitted from UAP, especially around the city of Colares. Now, the Brazilian Air Force conducted the so-called Operation Saucer, Operacio Prato investigation, and officially no unusual phenomena was found. But is that true? Locals hit by the dangerous light beams dubbed them the chapa chapa, literally the sucker sucker. And when a public panic ensued, the mayor of the province sought help from the Brazilian Air Force. And my friend and colleague ufologist Jacques Vallée has reported that a number of individuals during these incidents were reportedly killed as a result of the light beams, and injuries suffered by locals were consistent with microwave burns. Now, I'm sorry for this elaborate preamble, but I think it's really important we all know why Rony was prompted to go where he went. So I'll just give you the full history. In 2013, there were several unidentified aerial phenomena that began to be observed flying over a village in the state of Acre on Brazil's northern border with Peru. And on the 24th of July 2014, one of these UAPs reportedly descended into the village and fired light beams at the indigenous people. This prompted a request for help from the Indians to the National Indigenous Foundation, which in turn prompted the federal police and the armed forces to do an investigation. And the events occurred until the end of 2014. 2015, an investigation was opened by the Federal Public Ministry due to a close encounter by the researcher and an anthropologist, Carolina Comanduli, with one of these phenomena. 2015, the incident stopped, but they started again in 2016, this time in the Campa and Isoladas do Invera indigenous tribe, when a light phenomenon descended and was fired at by a local armed with a shotgun. He then received a beam of light back at him and had to be hospitalized. So Rony came into this story at this stage. His first expedition into the area was in 2023, and his subsequent investigation led to the Brazilian government being forced to disclose video testimony, more than 20 minutes of video and 120 pages of official documents. And it essentially blew the whole Colares story wide open. So let's bring Rony in now. Rony, welcome to Reality Check. Okay, here's the $1 million question, Rony. Did you see those anomalous orange yellowy balls?
Yes, not far, not too close, but a far orange, blinking. It was blinking a very strong orange and a very strong yellow. It was going around, literally around all the village. So we observed like at 36 degrees, this object always in the level of the trees. It's important to say that it's not something that was far away in the space, far away in the air. These lights are at the maximum at the top of the tree level. It's the height that they fly there. So it was going around all the village, almost a 360 around the village, and entered inside the forest. And this was the first photo that I took with my equipment.
So what we're looking at here is a photograph of the object that you personally shot with your camera?
Yes, I was with at this night I was not with the station built yet. I was only with my camera and with my cell phone. Can you explain the directions where this...
Is any of the locals in the village that you were visiting, did any of those locals see anything coming like that? An entity, any kind of humanoid being, any kind of sentient, intelligent being?
There are people that saw something like a disc with luminous lights in the side and also a red light in the bottom of this disc. Another people called me about like a water reservoir or something cylindrical. With lights in the sides also that was spinning. Was with the boys. There was 2 indigenous boys that were helping me, that I trained them to install the equipment. It was literally less than 1 meter from the ground and literally behind us, like at maximum 5 meters from us. Very, very close.
No noise?
No noise, zero noise. And was very luminous, but you could, something strange that was very luminous, intense bright, but you could stare to the light without hurt your eyes. It was crazy. I put in my DJI drone, flying in 15 seconds. And when I saw the object was static, not that close, but static in a very low level, top 3 level. And I was successful in put my drone very close, like 1 meter from this object. And was seeing with my eyes the phenomena and the drone. And my drone was, the object was here. My drone was like 2 meters, at maximum 2 meters to 5 meters high. So I was looking directly. Then I was looking the red light from the phenomenon, orange light of the red light. I was looking the green light from my drone. And I had complete vision. And I started to get the drone camera to look down, look up, look to the sides, and it was not possible to see this object. There was no way that could be possible that my drone was not filming this object, because I was seeing it with my eyes. It was very clear. The red light, the orange light was very strong. So past like 30 minutes, came something very, very bizarre. What they could describe better, it was like aurora, the natural phenomenon. And this aurora was not green, was not red. It was like very white, very dense, like a luminous fog, as I could describe. It was forming like a 3D shape, in the shape of a hand, like this form. It was, I'm seeing, the shape. It's like,
You're
imagine
kidding.
like yes. Imagine
So
like
you're
a
actually seeing a
drone
hand?
A hand, yes, a hand, like this.
Wow.
Like pointing very, very that way. And imagine like the drone show that people do today, where they put a lot of drones in the air and the drones form a 3D shape, a figure shape. But imagine this, not with drones, imagine this with a fog, a luminous fog, not a simple fog, but a very, very bright luminous fog, forming, becoming denser, very close to us, fog moving. Was putting in the eye, he was paralyzed, literally paralyzed. He could not move. And the boy said to me that when he was observing, he saw this phenomenon like pointing towards the forest. And it's crazy because the point that it was pointing, this virtual hand or something like that, it was and entered exactly where the phenomena goes in and out every night. So it was like pointing for us, maybe, interpretation. Okay, this, guys, is the point that I'm going in and out. And the boys, one of the boys tried to get the binocular to see it with more detail. And when he was putting in the eye, he was paralyzed, literally paralyzed. He could not move and started to scream, "Ronnie, I'm paralyzed. I'm feeling inflated. My body's inflated. I cannot move. I only can talk. I cannot move my feet. I cannot move my legs." I was blocked, holding the binocular. And I was in a very complicated situation because I was operating the equipment to film this. And indigenous boy was paralyzed. So I saved him or I filmed it. And I said for him, okay, if something more bad happens with you, if you feel bad, beside the paralysis, please call me, I will get you. And they continued there filming, and he called the other boy that was in the top of the water reservoir observing, and the boy had to get his binocular from his hand because he was not able to give him. He got literally the binocular. He was like a statue this way with the hands without binocular. And after some seconds, after a minute, he started to again recover the movement, and he was completely shocked about it. He's very traumatized with this event. He was very afraid to go alone in the indigenous village at the night. He is very afraid to back to the center where they started the equipment, and when this happened, it's something that affected him very, very bad ways psychologically.
Let's talk about the best imagery that you gathered during your studies there, Ronnie. What do you think is the best image that you obtained of whatever this phenomenon is?
I have very good images. I think is the best images produced in Brazil in the don't know, since the Operation Saucer, I don't know, but it's very, very good image because you see all details, this orange light. And I captured 4 types of phenomena there. And I'll describe it you in the video, in the camera. I describe you each one. The first one I captured after this cloud event that was pointing, this like hand pointing to the forest. A UAP rised at that specific point and started to move very slow, very slow. I run it again to the equipment. I put the zoom. I had the time to put the zoom, to put in the center of camera and track for many, many seconds this object. It was a very, very bright orange light that exploded, flashed. The orange light contracted. Instead, in the place of this orange light, we see a more smaller yellow to white light.
I'm going to move forward a bit in the interview. Okay, this is where Ronnie Vernet describes the homemade communication center that he set up in the Amazon forest.
In Rio, by satellite, you've got a Starlink satellite connection now permanently broadcasting from that village. Talk me through the equipment that you've installed there.
Yeah, I brought to the Amazon. It's very difficult to brought that kind of equipment because I need to get, before people have idea, I get 5 hours by plane to the capital of the Acre province. I got 8 hours by car to get to the point where I need to get the boat. And I got almost 8 hours by boat to get to the village. So almost 24 hours of travel to get there and come back. And you can imagine to carry all this equipment during all this path is very difficult. But I brought everything was possible. I made my best. There were 5 cameras. All kinds that you can imagine, all sky cameras, high resolution cameras, motorized cameras. There was 2 antennas in the gigahertz frequency. That is a frequency that we typically see this UAP emitting signal. One antenna, they are directional, so I can point and transmit and receive to that exact location. If I receive a signal, I know the signal is coming more strong in that exact location. And I can transmit to see, not only receive, but transmit to see if I will see some reaction of the phenomenon. And I have almost 10 sensors. I have thermal sensors, thermal camera to see something that's not invisible light. I had a cosmic ray sensor. It's a sensor to measure nuclear radiation, ionizing radiation. I have infrasound sensor to see if it emits any noise below our threshold of hearing, to see if you get some signature. I have, as I said, this microwave and radio signals from the antennas. I have accelerometers, gyroscope, pressure, temperature, humidity, GPS. All these sensors are installed and collecting data each 10 seconds there where they are installed.
So can I ask you this, on any of those sensors, particularly things like the infrasound sensor, the thermal sensor, any of those other sensors that are capable of picking up things that we simple humans can't detect with our bodies, did you record any corroborative phenomena to demonstrate that there was data that corroborated what you'd seen with your eyes and what you picked up with your cameras?
Yes. To respond to that question, I will tell you something that I witnessed there, more poltergeist phenomena. At that same night, that night of the cloud, the boy paralyzed, the night that I filmed the object was crazy. And when this object and this cloud was there, it was not only the paralyzed boy. The cell phone started to block. The cell phone was not working. Boys started to try to film, and the cell phone simply was not working. The flashlights, the battery was drained, all the flashlights. The light was blinking, but fortunately I had no breaks there to maintain the energy for some seconds, but the light was varying. And everything that was happening at the same time during this UAP event. Unfortunately, at that night, I had not configured yet the sensors. I only finished to configure the sensors in almost the beginning of the next day. And I have a lot of data to analyze right now, but I have to analyze to confirm, to get the images that I got and get the sensor data to correlate and confirm, okay, I have sensor data also, not only the image, but it's something that I have to work to get all this bunch of data, all the sensors, and study them and do some statistical work to confirm, okay, I have this data. One thing I can confirm is that when these things were happening, the UAP, the flashlights, and so on, I was testing the microwave radio signal. And I was getting the 1.6 gigahertz signal at the same time I was getting the poltergeist phenomena with the UAP.
Okay, so this is the part where Russ Colhart references Skinwalker Ranch and his interview with the owner, Brandon Fugel.
So that's very, very interesting. Just to explain to our audience, one of the things that has been revealed by Travis Taylor and his colleagues at Skinwalker Ranch, which is the TV series that we interviewed Brandon Fugel about a few weeks ago, one of the phenomena is a signal that is emitted when anomalous phenomena is detected or seen. And that is a signal in the 1.6 gigahertz bandwidth. You're saying you've also detected the 1.6 gigahertz bandwidth in your studies in the Amazon.
Yes, I detected before in Rio. There's a hot spot where I live that I detected it before, and I detected there again. What I need to do is collect more data to confirm, to repeat this experiment and have the confirmation.
Segala, who was involved in a lot of the work at Skinwalker Ranch and around the Utah Uinta Basin. And he's developed a sensor system called MUPAS, which essentially has a lot of the technology that you've obviously got in your equipment. But it's fascinating to hear the same corroboration of these bandwidth signals in the 1.6 gigahertz range. What I love about the work that you're doing, and this is a theme we're going to try to develop more on Reality Check, is you're doing good science. I mean, you're not someone given to emotional outbursts. You're not, I suspect, you're a very dogmatic scientist. You're looking for data. Talk me through what was going through your mind as you're seeing and witnessing this anomalous phenomena.
I agree with Russ Colhart. He's doing scientific work to corroborate his sightings. It's very credible. I'm going to move ahead a bit in the interview.
The million-dollar question is, what the hell is it? What are we looking at here?
Yes, at the first times that happened, the indigenous leader ordered it to try to shut down this drone, and any people couldn't get close because it was very intelligent. It was when people were thinking to get the approach, the object was going away. It was near the ground, and 1 second it was far. So it was not possible to bring it down, as indigenous leader said. And I oriented that. I said for him, okay, don't do this. Don't do this because it can hurt you. So right now they're trying contact, and they're preparing. The most compelling thing is that the indigenous leader is preparing the community because he thinks his interpretation of the indigenous leader is that they will have a contact very soon.
So that's interesting and noteworthy. Ronnie Burnett just said that the leader of the local tribe, the chief, believes that they're going to be having contact with the extraterrestrials soon. And all these sightings, the orbs that Ronnie Burnett has been witnessing and videotaping and capturing are all a lead up to this contact experience with the natives.
Is it part of the oral history in these communities that this is something that's always been there, or is this relatively new?
The indigenous say that they believe that in their culture that we have the beings of the forest. And the great thing is that the direction that these lights are coming in and out, I asked the indigenous leader, what do you have here? You have a river, you have a water body, what do you have in this direction? oh, this is the direction exactly of the Samauma. The Samauma is the sacred tree of the Amazon. In the indigenous culture, the Samauma is a portal where beings from the forest come in and out. And when he talked to me about that, I was shocked because I was never imagining an answer like that. That exactly pointing direction where the phenomena is going down, literally entering the forest. It is exactly direction where the Samauma is located.
So this is interesting. It's very similar to what's going on in Skinwalker Ranch. Ronnie Burnett just said that the local tribespeople told him that there is a legend of a Soma Yuma or portal in the very same direction that Ronnie Burnett has seen these orbs entering and leaving the forest.
Or imagery of the Samauma tree, the sacred tree that he was talking about?
Yes, I went there. It's prohibited to people to visit at night. They don't permit that because they...
So this is an image of the Soma Uma tree, or the portal that the local tribespeople believe that these extraterrestrials enter and leave the forest from. And this is Ronnie Burnett in front of that tree. It's an incredible looking tree. It's huge.
They say that could cause bad things for you because their habit is bad and good spirits. So I asked him, oh, I want to go there and stay there at the night and wait for the phenomenon. He said, no way, I cannot permit it. It's prohibited in my culture. And they only can go there in the day. The children are forbidden to go there. It's a very, very strange place that the indigenous leaders say the only one that can do this job to go there and to see if the phenomena wants contacts there where they are descending is me, and I'll prepare my warriors, my family here in the indigenous tribe, prepare our spirit to go to this combat. Because if you go there, he said to me, if you go there with your spirit weak, you have a lot of problems.
So they know of this tree, this sacred tree, being literally a portal.
So I showed a lot of that because Ronnie Burnett seems to be very credible. He's an electrical engineer, from what I know. He knows what he's doing with the hardware. I think that if we're ever going to get closer to the truth, and if the CIA UFO Detection Center isn't going to reveal what they found, stuff like this needs to go on. It needs to be sort of a grassroots effort at Disclosure, getting out there and recording these events and getting hard data that can be corroborated and checked. My name is Al Barrows. This has been UFO Disclosure. That's it for me. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. And let's try and manifest a positive shield of protection for all those kids out in Gaza and the Ukraine. Thank you. Thank you for listening to my podcast.